Hello, Music Multiverse listeners, and welcome to Beyond Your Radio. Thanks for joining me once again for Album Review Saturdays, episode 26 here. I'm your usual host. And of course, this is the second week without Deb Armitage Hicks Maloney. She'll be back next week. Album's already picked. She's studying them up. She even did so on vacation. Now, that's dedication. Speaking of dedication, well, yeah, I'm a little late today. I'm late for a very important date. But I'm sorry for that. But hey, what I got for you is immense. These albums are fantastic. They're almost all of them in running for albums of the year for 2025. I assure you, got some surprises too when we talk about all this. So if you're new to the channel, here's what it is. This is the YouTube version of the article section on Beyond Your Radio. There are 3 albums each weekend that I do. Put all the stuff up there, the links and all that's great. But when you come to the show, when you come to the really big show, you get more. You get extra album reviews. Usually 3, sometimes 2 if it's a lot of things going on. But when I'm alone, well, sometimes I just go overboard because I got to listen to everything. It's impossible, but I try. So, for those of you that have done this before with me, thank you. Thank you, as always, from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my musical soul, wherever soul's left. So, after that, there's nothing left. So, if you're ready to go, let's get this on, huh? Let's find out these albums that are in contention. And believe me, they run the gamut of different music, which is great. And then there's the extras. We don't fare so well there in some cases, but I digress. Here we are. This is the last week before the halfway point of the year. So I know there's going to be naysayers out there in the grand scheme of listening habits that this is not as good this year. I always approach this as a blessing. I love that I can hear, that I can have the ability to choose from all these genres, all the way from obtuse to the rather practical and predictable, even the comfortable. Or I can go for the instrumental to the bewildering lyrical pact. It's an honor to serve the musical madness each and every year, experience all that I can, and it always around this time that I gather the so far concept that and give thanks to all that have come to my ear, as well as those that I've not yet heard that I am desperately going to still try to go back to get to before the pinnacle of the year's finale list happens. We're not anywhere near that yet, which is bewildering in some cases, but it will come as fast as the shredders of music metal. I'm not always ready, and this week was a tough week. I had to get there. Took me a chore to get there, but I am always intrigued. I'm always excited and willing to hear the greatness in each year. Each year, there's no year has been terrible. No, that happened in the 80s. All right, that's just my view. So here's to the last 3, or is it, of the first half of 2025 from the old school, magnificently played bluesy soulfulness with a 2-letter first name to the Norwegian drummer that I've just now heard of, pleased to have name dropped into my ear. And there's a big surprise for you, too. And finally, to I don't know, in a completely raw, unhinged, seedy stoner doom rock that can only come from Ripple Music. Or maybe they didn't want it to come. They could have been like, oh, this might be too much for people. I don't know. I think it's great. So let's start off here. Here we go. This is DK Harrell, or Harrell, sorry. DK Harrell, Talkin Heavy. And, well, he's certainly not playing hard to get here, okay? This blues, rock, and soul player here has thrust a familiar flair into the blues world, and it is one that will be welcomed with open arms, I assure you. His playmanship, that soul-kissed vocal, is a pride and joy. that will melt the bluesy Stevie Ray Vaughan fans, but cater to the originality of the electric blues soul. He takes his songwriting serious, and that doesn't necessarily mean heavy on statement. That's going to be another person later on, but more heavy on putting you in the place we all love to be when it comes to the blues. The real base of blue collar love, respect, struggle, and finding yourself, or hell, losing yourself in it. Talkin Heavy is the musical guide and comfort that you get to choose how you fall into its grip. So, what the hell do I mean here? He's talking heavy, that's the track, and claims he doesn't know what to do. That's not so true. He knows what to do. The world is so heavy these days, and ain't he right? Yeah, I get that. And he utilizes that beautifully. He doesn't over illustrate it. He just lets the blues play, respectively, kind of laying it down for your ears. He cultivates it through the incorporation of great organ, got piano on there, great timings, and that soul ticking kind of. I that's how I explain it. You might not take it, but that's soul ticking going on. He doesn't offer the solution. He just offers the picture, the sound, and the heaviness of it, but to pull you in. Something that Stevie would have certainly done and incorporated in with whomever he was accompanied by in the studio or on stage. And I get that impression from DK. He shows pace, patience, soulful attitude, and homage. And there's nothing better to illustrate that than the cover he does of Post Traumatic Love Disorder. If you're not sucked into this soul of a record by now, you might be a more dramatic and edgy blues kind of person, which is fine, as I can appreciate your position. But I just don't want anyone to miss this solid, skillful, and wonderfully recorded piece and place of music that seems unblemished by trying to bring in elements that are for effect, instead of beautiful nature of the great pace and standard electric blues. Like there's no wild out guitar solo, there's no rock inclusion, there's no trippiness, there's no psychedelic. This attention to detail of the blues. There's no need to snatch and grab here. Genuine article here with DK Harrell, no question. This has extremely heart and soul wrapped up in the truest idea that is one that the one song represents, called Vibe With Me, right? That's exactly what we are. Absolutely with DK. It's a vibe. It's a vibe that includes what I just talked about, but also includes saxophone, horns, and great soul harmony background singers. It's B.B. King meets SRV with Louisiana gospel tinges. It's got spirit. That's the spirit that someone like him can be a generational act because he has that connectivity. It's genuine, and this world will always have the blues, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to swallow your soul and feel like it spit you out. There's an embracing nature, a curse to a blessing kind of thing, a stumbling block to an opportunity you were very much not aware of. And from piles of bills, yeah, set those aside, because we're going to go out late for the only thing that's open at that time. Liquor stores and legs.
Thing open this late is liquor stores and legs. But see, now that I'm grown, I can do what I want to. And I think you know what I'm gonna do. Yes, my bills can wait, because I'm going out instead. Yes, my bills can wait now, because I'm going out instead. And the only thing open up late is liquor stores and legs.
Oh yeah, the things that we learned from our parents. I'm not, listen, just check out the song. You'll understand where I'm coming from. It's great. It's playful and damning at the same time. Just put the record on, suck up the truth, and party all night in its bluesy soul and its unwavering guitar until the juice knocks you dead. Then get up again and praise these blues, because you've been reborn and you deserve to be. Here's where it gets interesting and big and Bergen. Ah. Yep. So this is Andre Drage group. This here pictured here is Wolves. But I'm also going to talk about Andre Drage group, Journeyman. I told you, two, not TOO, TWO. This is two albums, and they were released in, I believe, March and April. Drage has his own record label. So I had to pull something special out for this episode. I mean, I'm on my own. So thank you to Andre Drage for this inescapable, I don't know, new den of musical creativity. It's got bombacity and musical intrigue. And we're in Bergen again. I can't escape Norway. The Norwegian excellence calls to me from the nether. My music multiverse friends. And this drummer is a new world order, perhaps. And how fitting that it comes in between our panelists' favorite shows, part 1 and 2 of Drummers. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. He might make the list now after this listening. I swear I do not plan this shit, okay? It just happens. Here's a quick list of his favorite drummers. And oh, by the way, I would love to have Andre on the show to talk about drumming. I know it was like a last minute thing in a couple of weeks, but man, it's just, what is it about Bergen? He loves Billy Cobham. Who wouldn't, right? Tony Williams, Buddy Miles, Mitch Mitchell. There's the one. John Bonham. Hey, going to be on everybody's list. James Gadsden, Gary Novak, Uden Cleve. I do not know that one, but now that he's talking about it, I've listened to that. He's on the list. John Christensen, John Theodore, Pierre Morland, and Vinny Colota. Yes, some of those you might have to look up, but I guarantee you none of them will disappoint. So Andre Drage and his chosen surrounding of him with projects, they are all kind of great. They got grand engagement. Welcome to not knowing what to expect. But once it starts, you'll be expecting perfection because I get this feeling at every corner. Creativity and phrasing and incredibly dense and wonderfully progressively challenging rhythm that might very well be the best so far this year. And what album am I talking about? Well, the concepts, the structures, and delivery are world-class here. But you ask, what album? Okay, let's go there because, this is another unplanned adventure. Taken, shaken, and very much stirred quite differently. So let's take our fusion love and ears first over to Wolves and settle there first because that is the latter album. This is the newest, okay? It released in April. This is your full-on funkified progressive jazz fusion. Got some rock in there, but progressive in its nature. Incredibly complex instrumentational entries and exits that are compelling, worldly built and composed. That sounds like Bergen. This is your King Crimson. Perfectionism? Yeah, probably. It's held together so tightly, but played so effortlessly loose that your ear's mind might even flicker to this being like a Miles Davis-like driven mentality for composition. Pleading with you to dive into it all, leaving your inhibitions kind of at sound check, per se. Again, this is an exploration of complete sound and sounds and audio pairings and serving that sometimes gets lost in the general spew and constant struggle to find new music. I mean, thank God there's people like the Professor of Prague, Ken Golden. I got to thank him on this one. I don't create from a vacuum. He's on Sea of Tranquility almost every Friday. They talk about the records he's bringing in, and he brought this record in. He found this guy. I mean, he didn't find him per se, but he took the risk. He's bringing that album in. Yeah, I'm buying it, of course. This is avant-garde, accessible progressive fusion album with a great musicianship. And what's at the helm here? What's the number one thing in this incarnation of accomplished artists under Andre? It's the violin. Yes, the violin's the lead instrument here. Has that happened before? Yeah, Pugs and Crows. If you want me to name drop somebody, like they're out of Canada. I've talked about them on the channel before. Um, there's edginess, there's soundscapes, there's challenges here that will reach, force you. Yes, there are improv pieces of guitar that go into this too. They're not left behind, believe me. This is an all-encompassing kind of thing, but also blends in undertones of jazz in wonderful complement. This is a definite must-have in your progressive ear. If this is your go-to, you will not be disappointed, I assure you. In fact, you'll most likely be captivated, stunned, and wanting more, which brings us to the album Journeyman that came out a month prior. So this is at this time, Drage is uh, he's got his own record label, and I think that's the right thing to do. Um, his moniker, he's the maestro, but I have this feeling that anyone that falls into or onto this label is going to have the expansive sound backing, the experimental encouragement to reach for the chords instead of the stars. And we begin our journey of Andre Drage, the founder, on Journeyman from Andre Drage Group. This is more the avant traveled musical accomplishment here. It's kind of not to be outscored by the above record that we just talked about. Journeyman is another triumph. It has this a more spiritual composition and vast instrumentation accompanied in this experience. There's a bit more going on in instrumental additions. Considering Andre's affections for Frank Zappa, Elephant Nine, Mahavishnu Orchestra, along with Miles and Coltrane, I want to believe that this music might. That's the best way to kind of express what is going on here. Is this he's not comfortable with resting. Andre carries us into these worlds of sound that come from anywhere, at least in my humble ear. I hear the Afro rhythm, the Japanese free jazz, the vibraphone, the mellotron, to visit like the United Kingdom, the United States, even. I feel the slight hints and building blocks of ambient to kind of release this spirituality of a track, ease some of the positionings that or bridge work that comes, or the improv. I mean, it's all present in a soldier's march. That's part one, part two, and part three, with part three having more of that ambient kind of feel. Those three installments are very different, but they're all together in one journey, and one that is grounded in a truthful delivery and a very careful continuity in the timing of it, which is just another astounding accomplishment that Norwegian, Bergen. It's very unusual to have two such projects in a wheelhouse of a musician at this close proximity. Being so varied yet so tight, even yet unpredictable, as well as unique. Andre is the real deal. I'm telling you, he's the real deal. As the musicians surrounding the two particular projects have raised the bar in the fusion world for me. It's been a fantastic year for fusion. Anyone saying otherwise has not truly explored what they need to explore. If you want to, hit me in the chat. And when it comes to the exploration, it's Bergen, baby. Bergen. Get thee to Bergen. The music world is on fire there with extremely talented musicians, groups. Just they're closing in on becoming the mecca of progressive fusion, jazz fusion, and jazz rock avant-garde. I could go on and on. Instead, why don't you go and listen to these two albums and listen in captivating amazement, because that's what it deserves, both of them. Ripple. Yeah. Are you ready? Okay. So the crew there, this is a Portland, Oregon band, and away we go. Welcome to Ripple Music's most primal moment of the year. And that's an accomplishment because they're pretty primal to begin with in a lot of cases and things. But this one's off the chart primal. Ravine delivers a completely raw, primal, exploitive audio look into the riff and ripple of heavy stoner rock. The title is very, very well served on their platter of heavy doom and grip instrumental work as it builds the tension, the filth, and almost seedy parts of this rock. It's a little bit back to one of my unsung, unpredictable, unappreciated bands. All right. And that's the Four Horsemen. They are nowhere near this heavy. Okay. But the rawness reminds me, but you go and listen, then you let me know. It's that whiskey sour vocal stance, that delivery that has the fever for backwoods darkness, but eager metal tone. Yes, this is the comparison difference to their brand of stoner metal rock, and it's the genuine article. Raw talent. Okay. They're ill-afraid, bonus, and willing to take their chances in the murky southernness of harsh riff and throat lozenger needed lyrical dark preach. Did it make any sense? It will once you listen. Chaos and Catastrophes, which is the title of the album, Doom's central instrumental leads and breaks are those that could make for legend. The tightness of the raw Southern Sabbath pleasure has the real article of pressure-based riff and rhythm that drives and paces each track. Okay? Slow and hard and heavy, yeah. Seated deeply in the bowels of the metal soul, okay. And raised in pace only to crescendos that live in the dark space that's tight, woodsy rock terrain that borders on like just sinister at times. You don't have to drag me there, because halfway into Conjure, they're already summoning me to the ritual. And you'll follow. You'll follow too. You have to. You must. No dark or crazy flute required, but some doomy riff and Satan bubbled and boiled harmonies that might have come from the legend of Jaime Duque himself. There's a park in Colombia. I've been there with my kids. Don't send social services unless you've been there. Here's the catch for Ravine of Portland, Oregon. Far from the middle of nowhere, Jaime Duque in Colombia. They don't forget to meddle and whip in some bass lines. They don't fake any distortion. They put it on. They get the feedback and the groove. And they groove out. And when they get this, because these tracks are long and they're fierce. And they're not the same. This is getting away from that bad word of stoner rock. These cats are monstrously correct in the nature of their track, and the length and delivery of them is held in a sacred place. They are able to shift and sidewind into and out of things that seem sometimes nowhere of stoner rock. They don't rest a moment in that term, and instead they pounce into the rawness. They do the ruckus, creating dark metal sounds, riffs, and grooves to beat the perfection that can sometimes come from chaos and catastrophes. Not only do they bring you into the dense forest and brutalize you, like, yeah, because that's NUE, delivering that weariness, foreboding, dissatisfaction, and lost in this thick, dark, heavy woods, which is the mood of this thing, right? And they actually have the audacity and unique carelessness to set the forest on fire with themselves in it. Now that's fucking crazy. Scary chaos, baby. There's a growing gutter howl on a dying megaphone above the end of the world guitars. You hear it. Burn, baby, burn. Yeah, it burns. So what do I have for you? I managed to get four more in. There were a couple other ones, but they would have been brief. So let's start off with the one that offends me the most and hurts me the most and has always hurt me the most. This is Neil Young and the Chrome Hearts. This is Talking to the Trees. There's a return to the form of guitar feedback and trims and sometimes gets back to that songwriting pace.
Big change is coming, coming right home to you. Big change is coming, you know what you gotta do.
But we're all still stuck in the liberalism where he's wearing it poorly and writing so ridiculously bad and it's self-indulgent shit. All right? There's not metaphor, just straight up grandpa liberal bitch face. Stop. Don't go there. I love Neil Young. And I love a lot of artists that wear their political shit on their sleeve. It's okay. I don't want it in the music to the tune of the way you write being so just blah. But say something that sounds well written, that sounds poetic, not bad rhyming of GM, Ford, and China. All right? A waste, as it's been for a while, to be honest with you. There are a few songs that register okay, but no one needs this. I put this in the contaminated Yangtze River, for a lack of a better place. Avkrvst, Waving at the Sky. I don't remember if you remember the prior article I did on Avkrvst, but, and by the way, it's AVKRVST. The U's are replaced by V's. I'm assuming that has to do with nationality. The band moves itself out of some of the doom and guttural vocal, some, not all the way, where they were, but they put themselves here in a much more progressive, dominant record, which elevates their musical chops and delivers to a broader audience here. This is a broader record. Heavy will wear the crown here in this audience, and I think that's a really good place to be. A lot of this has that nature of Between the Buried and Me, and that's a great place to be. Even as well as Opeth and Haken. Those are another two that this kind of harkens to, which is truly, again, where in the nature of this wheelhouse you need to be. They sound great, and this is another further step in the evolution of this band, and it came relatively soon. I'm pretty sure this is only a year and some odd between records. I mean, I still have again, that problem with the V and the U and their title and band. I'm sure that's going to stop some of the U.S. marketplace, but this is a band, progressive metal band to be reckoned with, and always good stuff. So let's We're over there on that side. Let's get over to Canada here. We haven't been to Canada in a while. That's not true. Monkey House is the name of the band, and this is what they call Crash Box. Great album cover, very progressive looking in its nature, right? Well, that's not true. This is a sly little progressive jam band from Canada that's utilizing the Bruce Hornsby version of The Dead um, and the progressive rock contemporariness of Chicago meets Steely Dan to create rather a very nurturing and Flower Child meets the 80s kind of vibe and mojo.
Lay down your Spanish gun. That's when they help you, son. When you're someplace on medicine. Soho, stone your fire.
This work is incredible, and the vocal, piano, organ definitely feels like Hornsby's position on the take that this would. So that's going to catch a lot of people, especially considering where Hornsby was in his own solo careers, kind of a little bit more indie and avant garde. It's a little bit predictable in some cases. It's got saucy moments and expertly instrumentally dominated parts that truly are the glue of the entire record. I think a lot of people really like it. It's a little bit contemporary, but it's jammy and progressive in certain ways, but not progressive in rock. It's more of a jam band kind of thing. I thought it was great. I wanted a little bit more Steely Dan and a little bit more edge and stuff, but that didn't happen. They kept it kind of on that one scale I was talking about. So finally, I will go with Mary Halverson, guitarist, jazz guitarist, musical composer, and her new record about ghosts. We've done Mary Halverson before on the channel. This particular record, while I failed to make a connection on the title of the album about ghosts, maybe I did. I always feel that Mary is a very unique jazz artist. She's a guitarist that's holding on to the ghosts of the past, creating a brave signature that she has in space that allows the music to take its shape. I believe it's easy to get lost in how she plays, what she's playing, and the math and the composition involvement. Why? Well, especially when there's an accompaniment that kind of exceeds her, is placed higher than her playmanship, and that's the beauty of how she formulates. So she enjoys the entire soundscape, and she's not afraid to be in the back or floating like a ghost. Right? And in this case, you got vibraphone again. I think pretty sure this is the third album this on this show that had vibraphone in it. Saxophone, trumpet, trombone, and of course, you got bass and drums. She's hovering uniquely above, and in this case, through it. That while this may be a little bit more on the contemporary end of the jazz side, this is still catchy, smart. She's a very smart musician, and sometimes she goes to a wickeder place in taking some chances, and sometimes she loves to float in this atmosphere. And I think About Ghosts is the atmosphere float that works very well. But the other albums that have the more chances and risks are the ones that get talked about a bit more, and they're great too. And that's the problem with these type of accomplished songwriters and guitarists in the jazz environment. When they do this and they slip in and out of places, it's hard to go back and forth and say, geez, which one was better? What do you like better? Do you like it to be contemporary? Do you like it to be risky and edgy, or something that's never been heard before? And I think with her, you don't know what you're going to get. And in this one, you're going to get a little bit more held to the jazz standard to some degree here, but that's still beautiful in composition for her. So, what did you think of these albums? Let us know in the comments. Like what you like, leave what you don't. It's okay. I take no offense. Again, if I'm going to get Neil Young hating message or liberal comments, I'm not interested. I don't care. Our world does not need liberal, doesn't need Republican. It needs common sense, and we tend to be living way too far from common sense and sucking down the flavors of whatever the hell's on here, which is not right either. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. Articles, videos, and podcasts. It's all about albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hot little hands on. And next week, Dan will be back. And we've got a full show, 6 albums, all of them looking to be kicking off the second half of 2025. Unknown Sundays tomorrow. Yep. A band named after a drink. And not your standard drink. Thanks for watching and happy listening.